Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are breaking down our picks for the top 5 and one worst. Level 3 Artificer Spells.
Oh, we're stretching it out. It was funny, viewers at home. I made a joke the first time we went to record this, where Bob screwed up the intro. This is our third take. Now we're actually on the third take, and it's great. Things are going great.
That's because of technical issues, though.
Yeah,
I was ready
true.
to go with that faulty first take.
This is true.
All right. Let's hope we can get through this one.
Easy peasy.
All right. Third level Artificer Spells. What do you think about it in general?
I think half-casters, which is what they are, they're mostly half-cast. They get first level spells earlier in cantrips and stuff. Because you're getting these at 9th level and other characters getting 5th level spells at 9th level, you feel a little bit worse about them. You kind of want them to be good at all tiers, more so than kind of what the full casters can kind of feel about it. You don't have a lot of room to take mediocre or damage-based options. Don't tend to feel as useful here, but because you've seen characters using them for 4 levels, and it only gets worse. This is kind of where they're at their final last. I mean, that's 3rd level spell, still fine at 9th level. When a 4th level spell at 13th level feels quite a bit worse. That being said, there are some fine, consistent options you're gonna be happy to have on your sheet a lot of the time. So, all in all, I don't hate Artificer's list. They're just, they're fine. They're fine.
Well, looking at the 3rd level list, there's not a lot of just strictly damaging options. And the ones that are there, none of them made my list. I think this might be my first list ever with no primary damage option.
Yeah, I also have no big splashy damage effects whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's weird. But here we are.
Yeah, here we are. That's kind of what I want my upper tier half caster spells to be, a lot more utility focused. I think most of my picks can come in handy at any level of play if you get creative enough.
I agree with that's the same case for mine. I think basically that throughout all tiers of play, you'll be happy to have any of my 5 spells as far as this will do something.
I've got 3 obvious picks and 2 wild cards because I didn't want my whole list to be completely obvious.
I can't fathom what they would be, so there's 5 I'm confident are my picks. So whether we're gonna share a list or not is gonna be interesting.
Looking at the list, you might be right. No, there's at least one I could have switched out for one I have, so we'll see. We might not be first? 5 for 5. No, you go ahead. What do you got?
Okay. My first is Tiny Servant. So this is a really cute little Xanathar's Guide to Everything spell. You get to make a little buddy, and that buddy has a climb speed and does D4 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. But more importantly, he's just a buddy. He's like a little dude that does things for you. He's a construct with 15 AC, like a little Beauty and the Beast construct, like a Lumiere or something that helps you do the dishes. You can carry around your artillerist guns. That's kind of cute. You can use them and if you upcast this, you get more of them. They last 8 hours, no concentrations. They're kind of just little companions that you can summon for yourself with your 3rd level slots. I think there are going to be a lot of artificers that like the thematics, that like the utility, that are going to find ways to use magic items with these little guys. And it's going to be pretty neat.
Use magic items or just animate actual weaponizable things, vials of acid or whatever. There's a torch. Go just set stuff on fire. Whatever. You can find creative uses for this. This was one of my wild cards. It did make my list. It's one of the ones I wasn't quite sure about, but it's fun. It's flavorful.
I think I underrated a little bit. Last time we talked about this, I don't think I rated it as highly as I should have, but I haven't played with it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so that definitely made my list. What else did?
I don't know. What's in the box?
Let me see. I picked Haste.
Haste is my number 4, actually. I wanted to rank it higher, but at 9th level, I'm a lot lower on it than I am at 5th level.
Yeah. That's fair enough. But it's still haste. I mean, it's flexible. You cast it on yourself, cast it on someone else.
The fact that 2 of the subclasses get extra attack makes haste really appealing, especially because one of them gets an AC of 26. So you can just be like, oh, my AC is 28 now, and I get a 3rd attack each round. I'm just going to punch people in my giant robot mech suit, and that's pretty sweet. I love that. I like this on artillerists a lot that want to make extra attacks with big guns. I like this on, I guess, battlesmiths it's fine on too. It all together, haste is pretty excellent. And you don't have to talk about alchemists. Alchemists aren't really a subclass that you should ever consider. So the other 3, the 3 real subclasses, all can use this in great effect, I think.
Sure.
You don't even hate like sticking this on your paladin, right? Like if you're a backline artillerist just like raining hell from above with fireballs and stuff, you're like, great, haste the paladin, get in there, buddy. I'm just gonna shoot things.
Or
Sweet.
your armor. You got a huge AC. You're that less worried about losing the concentration.
Yeah, it is utterly backbreaking when it happens. What that's
Yeah.
worth. Like you'll slowly get a save and be like, oh, I take how much damage? 35? Uh-oh. There goes my turn. But I actually like those feast or famine moments with haste specifically. So
Yeah. All right. So we got your number 5 and number 4 already then.
yep. Moving on to my number 3 is a spell we don't talk about enough, or maybe we do. It's Fly.
I've got Fly.
Was that your other wild card?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
But
okay.
it.
I'm nervous now as to what your other two could be.
I wasn't gonna. I was kind of iffy about Fly, but I wouldn't call it a wild card. I chose Fly because Water Walk or Walk on Water, whatever it's called, was also on the list, and I thought, why would you choose that if Fly is available?
Waterwalk is
It
one of those spells where I'm like, why does this actually exist anymore? What's its
it
purpose?
does have an hour duration and no concentration, so it's got that in its favor. I mean, no,
Sure.
I still chose
You
Fly.
can swim. Like
I gotta. I don't know. I felt like I gotta let people know between these two, I'm on Team Fly.
yeah, agreed. Concentration is a real bummer to Fly. I think of all the spells that came from like 4th and 3rd edition that are demonstrably worse with the concentration mechanic, I think Fly's probably top of that list. Just because the cute things you would do with Fly is you would cast absurd elementals and conjure a bunch of crap into the world, and you'd fly around with a giant AC, and no one could touch you because you were in the air, and they couldn't deal with your summons and all that crap, right? That's where like you got the cheesiness factor to it.
Yeah.
Whenever you can't also have a bunch of crap everywhere, it's a little bit less useful. I still think like there's something about artillerist that just like goes, oh, I have no desire to be within 120 feet of you, and just like gets up in the air and is just taking pot shots like a sniper rifle is pretty hype. And of course, the Iron Man analogy of being in a giant mech suit and flying around is pretty cool too, right?
Yeah, it felt thematic.
Agreed. I like that this is the rare case where sometimes you'll upcast this and you'll get you and a buddy can start flying around. That's kind of cute. 10-minute duration isn't the longest in the world, and again, I often will have like I think most of the time I don't know if most of the time I would concentrate on haste, but it's an option. I don't know. This is a neat. If there's a character that I think in this day and age is going to cast Fly, it's probably going to be an Artificer. When you do, a 60-foot fly speed is pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, and
So,
you've
yeah,
been primarily talking about combat. I mean, this has a ton of out of combat utility. This is access.
Yeah, I am a lot also lower on the out of combat utility. This maybe should be my number 5, but just because things like the Aarakocra exists, right? Like the Alkin and other flying races are now.
I mean,
just
but you're not
common
necessarily
additions, right?
one of them.
That's true. It's weird that a racial trait is equivalent to a 5th level or a 3rd level
Third
spell,
level.
which you would get a 5th level, and then this is 4 levels after that as an artificer. So 8 levels after a character's been able to fly around, you can now match their fly speed if you're willing to spend a spell slot in concentration. And then it looks like, oh, this seems terrible. But sometimes you need a way to get access to this, and this is kind of a good way to do it, I guess.
Don't want to be a bird guy.
Yeah. You only want to play humans, so this is how you fly. I can respect that.
Or half elves. Occasionally.
That's the same thing, Bob. They're pretty people. I don't know what to tell you.
I like to spice things up.
I'm a human, but thinner and hotter. That's my race.
I say, don't make me say it. I mean, yes, that's this is my fantasy.
Okay, good.
A human with thinner and hotter.
I'm convinced that's how elves came to exist. And they're like, well, you have to make them not just pretty people. How do we do that? Their ears are pointy. That's why they're different.
My gaming life just got so much sadder now.
It's fine. We all listen. It's great. Fly is fine. Is where we're gonna end this conversation on, right?
Yeah.
All right. That was you or me.
I don't know.
So you're up.
That was you. You chose.
I think so.
You picked one. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. You're nervous about my other picks. All right. I'll save the one you're really nervous about. All right. Yeah. My next is Dispel Magic.
Okay, that's my number 2.
Yeah.
We're
Can't go wrong
close.
with. Whoa. So we haven't gotten to your number 1 yet.
Nope.
So I'm just gonna call it right now. Your number 1 didn't make my list.
Weird. It's weird that we got the bottom 4 to overlap. Yeah.
Dispel magic. Yeah. When is that not useful? There's always some magic you want to dispel, and that feels like Artificer's job.
Yeah, I definitely like this is in the wheelhouse of what an artificer wants to be doing, right? Like it's nice that a 9th level spell can come down and you can be like, don't worry about it, team. I'm a 9th level artificer. Dispel it. And that can work sometimes. It's a useful effect to have. It's not something you're going to cast every session, but it's something you're going to be casting every campaign almost certainly. And then high magic settings is going to get even more useful than that. You're going to have some variety where some DMs are going to let it dispel more than just spells. It's a solid little effect that I really think you should. It's like I call them kind of like magic hygiene. It's just something you want on your sheet because it's good for helping you navigate against magical effects you otherwise don't have really solutions for.
Yeah. Handy dandy spell.
My number one is Revivify. I think
Okay.
Revivify is a spell that you almost always would want to put on an Artificer just because getting something back from death whenever your other 3rd level options aren't that exciting anyway is a pretty easy place to put like your spell slots, right? I don't hate banking spell slots on key characters with extra attack. And Revivify is one where you just go, I have a bunch of golden items anyway. I'm our bank. Why not just pull a 300 gold gem out, throw it on somebody's noggin, get them back to life. You can flavor it as a defibrillator if you want. And then you got, a cute little artificer that has great utility on preventing death. And preventing death is really useful, especially as we get into the upper tiers and people get really attached to the characters,
Yeah, I'm surprised you put that at number one. I figured, yeah, you are 9th level by now. Somebody's got to have this already.
It's only cleric. Druid also get it now, I guess. But other than that, the other ones are half casters. So paladins and rangers both, and those are both at least paladins optional. They were added in Tasha's. So like it's you clerics or it's druids, clerics, or the half casters. You get access to Revivify. And if you don't, I think I put this around as the same level as I put 5th level resurrection spells, right? Like I put this on the same level as I put something like Raise Dead. And this doesn't have the downsides that Raise Dead does for, its giant penalty for coming back to life. So I think it's pretty solid at that point, right? Like if it's mirroring a 5th level effect, and I rate it highly as how it changes the axis of the game, like I think it was my number 1 3rd level cleric spell. I think that's reasonable to consider it as one of the best artificer options to consider.
Yeah, I certainly considered it for my list, but I felt like I wanted another wild card.
And what is that wild card, Bob?
I'm
genuinely curious.
I picked Blink.
Sure is a wild card choice.
It is.
Okay, why Blink?
Fun. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over here. Pow.
I really think this spell should take a bonus action to cast. The fact that it takes an action to cast, I think, makes it close to unusable.
Well, but I gotta pull it up.
It doesn't take concentration, which is to its favor.
Right. It lasts for a minute, no concentration. I can give up an action for that. Especially if I'm planning to start the fight, then yeah.
I don't see a world where I want this on most characters. So if I'm an armorer, I definitely don't want this, right? Because my job is to take damage. This sometimes goes, I'm not taking any damage, my team is. And you don't get to pick, right? That's entirely at random. It's a 50-50 is whether or not you're going to be existing or not. On the other characters, like, it's only a 10-foot move around. Like, you're not going far distances. There's not a lot of utility to do with this.
That's true. I picked it because it's fun and I can annoy people while I hit them.
Sure. I don't think I ever want to spend action on this in combat. And I don't know if I'm doing my prep round. Like if you get like 2 prep rounds, maybe you're like, okay, blink, haste, go. And then you're like, whoo-shoo, 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 whoo-shoo. And that's kind of cool. And you get like 8 seconds of that, or 8 rounds of that. I think most of the time that's not going to be worth the resource. It's a cute little gimmick. Yeah. I think that's largely what it is a gimmick.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, gimmicky. But that's fine.
There's nothing wrong with I think this spell can be enjoyed and you can have fun playing it. It doesn't mean it's gonna make your character better. I think it's often gonna make your character worse because you wasted a turn in combat. That's not the end of the world though. There are worse things in life than wasting a turn in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition combat.
That's kind of where I came at this from. I wanted something fun. I didn't want to pick another obvious one. Revivify probably should have made the list, but I was thinking, the cleric's got it, or the paladin's got it. It's covered.
I would imagine if you have either of those other classes, you probably don't need Revivify. I would agree. If you got a Cleric in your group, you probably don't need to put Revivify on your sheet as an Artificer. You don't know many more than one character in the party with that kind of access. Blink, I also don't think is something you have to put on my character sheet that readily as an Artificer. It's not my worst by any stretch of imagination. My worst. Drum roll, please. Are we ready to do it?
Oh, well, let's go over our lists first.
Okay.
What do you
My
got?
number 1, Revivify. Number 2, Dispel Magic. Number 3, Fly. Number 4, Haste. Number 5, Tiny Servant. I'm happy with most of those on my character sheet, though. So, like, yeah, go nuts with it.
Yes, I don't have my list in front of me because I had to reboot the computer, but they're pretty much the same. I had Tiny Servant, Blink, Haste, Fly, Dispel Magic. I remembered them. Good.
Nailed
Good
it.
for me. All right. So what's your worst?
I don't know if we talked about this, and we should talk about it more. Intellect Fortress is horrendous. Intellect Fortress is abysmal. This spell's awful. This spell has ones of monsters it's effective against.
What I don't even remember what it does.
Concentration for an action. Concentration duration an hour. Takes an action to cast. For the duration, you or a willing creature you can see has resistance to psychic damage and advantage on int, wisdom, charisma saving throws. I don't think you ever want to cast this. I don't think an action in your concentration in a 3rd level spell slot is worth advantage on saving throws, nor is it worth it to give resistance to psychic damage. You really want both for this to be worth casting?
Yeah.
It only affects a single creature? No, thank you. Get it out of my character sheet. I have no business spending time actively thinking about this. It's not worth it.
No, probably not. I mean, wisdom saving throws can be debilitating if failed.
Sure.
But
I'm not
yeah,
spending it to protect one person from it for my concentration and my action. I don't want anything to do with that. Even as like a prep effect, I would much rather prep like a proactive tool to kill the thing that's imposing the wisdom saving throw. A proactive tool to debilitate my enemies. Have an extra spell slot on the bank to break the negative effect of something that failed a wisdom saving throw. Like, I'll dispel magic, whatever hit the whiz save and failed it, right? I'll take that every single time over Intellect Fortress. And I can do that retroactively. I don't have to spend a 3rd level spell on my concentration to maybe give them an ability to dodge it. No thank you.
Yeah.
I genuinely think this spell is almost useless.
I cannot argue with that at all. I 100% agree. However, that is not my pick for the worst.
There are there's some trash here. We're looking at a list that's got some oofs.
I picked Create Food and Water. And
I respect that pick, honestly.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it feels weird because this is like one of the basic things you need in life. However, I have never, ever, ever played in a game where it mattered.
So I think it might fall into the category, right, where like we've reached a point in our fantasy worlds. It's kind of like how you want to be a hot person. I don't want to deal with food scarcity whenever I'm playing a fantasy role-playing game, right? I don't want to deal with, what's dinner tonight. I want to skip over that and get to the cool parts. I want to do the stuff that I don't do every single day. I don't want to deal with the minutia of, do we have clean drinking water? I want to deal with, cataclysmic events and overrunning barbarian raging gnoll population. I don't want to care about helping this small village have the ability to have clean water for the weekend, right? Like, that's not anywhere
helping
where I
a small village have clean water is a quest. But this spell isn't the solution I want
Agree.
To complete that quest.
100% agreed.
But yeah, I remember ever since back in my 2nd edition days as a kid, all right, I created my character. I spent however much gold. I got 10 weeks of iron rations. Never look at that again.
Yeah. Forget to track it. No one gives a crap. It just moves on with life. We got water skins. That's fine enough. That's functionally infinite drinking water. I really don't think Great Food and Water has come on most sheets anymore.
You're not putting out forest fires with it, but yeah, if you just want to stay alive, we're not going to keep track of it.
This is definitely the kind of spell where if you are taking it, you're probably taking it to try and munchkin the physics of the game, where you're like, well, what happens if I put it in a container that doesn't fit it? And then, you can do like a water bomb or something to that effect. Or you're like, what does 45 pounds of food constitute? Can I get just like a bunch of raw meat that rots and then we have a poisonous thing? And you get like a lot of gamey kind of stuff for it. But I think the vast majority of circumstances, there's no reason to put those in here.
I think there's probably like a fraction of a percent of tables that are into the like realistic survivor kind of D&D, and then it could come into play.
So I think at those tables, it kind of defeats the point of playing at those tables, right? If I'm playing at the gritty realism table, I actually do want to see like, okay, my character's a huntsman. I don't want to have my entire identity negated because now create food and water exists. And we go,
Yeah.
well, we don't have to worry about deserts anymore. We don't have to worry about, the whole issue of the campaign. It's just resolved here.
That's a good point. That spell changes it into a normal D&D game.
Yeah. All of a sudden you go, oh, this was gritty realism, and now all we really have to deal with is forced marches. Okay.
Yeah, so that was my pick.
I think you might be right that is worse than Intellect Fortress. I just really don't think most people should be putting Intellect Fortress anywhere near their character sheet. So
This, all right. I will come up with a justification for create food and water. Just one person takes it, and then you can pretend you're playing gritty realism, and that issue solved. That's there was another spell like that. I forgot. We talked about it. I said, yeah, somebody should take this. Nobody's ever going to use it, but maybe no, I don't remember. Oh, I think it was like telepathic bond or something. Like,
that sounds right. Yeah.
Everybody's talking to each other anyway.
Yeah.
Now
it's just so we can metagame. It's fine. We're all
right.
when we all see because I took telepathic bond. It's fine.
All right. Well, that was our picks for the level 3 Artificer Spells. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Let us know your own lists. We always love to read about those. And thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Tune in next time and like and subscribe, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.